single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my way.
Hello my kings and queens, my name is Marsha Soul and welcome to the Unlimited Soul Tribe. Here we get to have simple conversations that are centered around thought patterns and attitudes that we can adopt so that we transform and become the unlimited souls that we were meant to be. So the thought that I would like to share with you is on beautiful beginnings. So the other day I was watching a devotion here on YouTube by Pastor Tim that's titled 10 Things You Need to Know About Opposition. And while it really blessed me, there was something that he said that really struck a chord with me. He said, it doesn't matter where you start out. What matters is that you actually start. And immediately my mind just started going back to when I started this channel 3 years ago. So I started after I had just come out of one of the roughest patches in my life, and I was ready to embrace a new chapter where I was just pushing for my dreams, and all I wanted was to motivate and inspire people that were going through the most, or people that were pushing for their dreams. And that's all that I had going for me. I just wanted positive vibes. And I did a couple of videos. I was not consistent. I didn't have a strategy. I would just speak whenever an opportunity availed itself, or whenever I felt inspired. And after a couple of videos, I stopped. And the reason for me at that time was I felt that I did not have some of the things that I needed to be in place in order for me to continue. Which was rich, coming from the same chick who had posted something along the lines of, don't let logistics stand in the way of opportunities, always prepare and slay. Yes, girl, listen, I was fired up. And I went on to explain how I had faced how I had overcome so many obstacles that wanted to stand in the way of me seizing these opportunities. And when I posted that, I meant each and every word, because I did overcome a lot of obstacles and logistical issues that wanted to block me at the time. And I didn't realize though that in as much as one aspect of my life I was fired up and I was pushing and I was just I was just in this war path of getting things that I wanted, that I forgot, or rather I didn't realize that I was letting logistical issues stand in the way of me continuing my channel. And I remember within that same post, right at the end, I said something along the lines of always prepare and always push, which then also brought me back to my channel and the reason why I stopped. So after the couple of videos, I decided to start doing some preparations and research. So I started looking at people that had already started doing this, and I felt that I could look at them as my role models, and I would look at their videos and watch the stuff they were doing, and I would strive to be where they were. And every time I would research on them, I would be so inspired, I'd be so motivated, I'd be so fired up and flowing with ideas. But then the ideas that I had made the gap of where I was and where I wanted to be to grow big. And the list of things that I felt I needed in order for me to get where I wanted to be, it became even bigger. And I was so fixated on trying to acquire all of these things that I felt I needed that I ended up stopping the channel altogether. So anyway, after I watched that devotion by Pastor Tim, I then went on to my channel and I watched some of my old videos. And I came across a video where I was talking about the king that had given 3 of his servants a couple of talents. So he had given the one servant 5 talents, and he gave the other servant 2 talents, and then he gave the last servant 1 talent. And servant 1 and 2, which were given 5 and 2, went on to multiply what they were given, and then dude number 3 just decided to bury his. And the moral of the story is that if you use what you've got, or if you use what you're given and you use it well, you will always be given more. And that got me thinking. So knowing what I know now and what I've learned, if I had to inspire this chick that started this channel 3 years ago, what would I tell her to make sure that she stays the course? What would I tell someone who's starting something new, or someone who has buried their gifts or put them in a shelf? If I were given the opportunity to speak to that servant before he buries his gift, what would I tell him? So these are the things that I've learned. So what I previously mentioned is, it doesn't matter where you start out. What matters is that you actually start. Because here's the thing, the principle of giving doesn't work with money alone. It also works with everything else that you give yourself of. So if you give of your time towards your gifts, towards your talents, towards your career, towards your family, towards your marriage, towards your health, all of that will begin to give itself back to you. So it's important that you start where you are, because you will increase in skill and in knowledge as you go along. And also, it's important to remember why you are doing this in the first place, or why you're starting this in the first place. Because that, when you face obstacles in your life, that is going to be your biggest motivation. That is going to help you find solutions instead of excuses when you face the obstacles. And one of the things that I also mentioned is always prepare and always push. I remember in that period when I'd have to go for auditions and shoots and castings, and I was having car issues. If I had not prepared in advance, I would not have been able to honor those appointments, or I would be stranded last minute. So there'd be times, I remember there was an audition where we had to be there at the crack of dawn, and I organized with my friend who was also going for the same audition, so that I could sleep over at her house because she had a car, so that we could travel together to the audition and do our voice exercises in the car. And I remember there were times when I would look at Google Maps to see where this place was, and look up the address, and also look it up on Uber from my place to that address. How far is it, and whether I would be able to afford what Uber would charge me if I used that as my mode of transport. And there'd be times where I would look it up, and then I would realize that this was so far off, or it would be too expensive, that I would find taxis that would get me at least halfway, and then from there request an Uber so that I would get there. And there were times, honey, where I didn't even have that money for Uber, and I had money for taxis. And because with taxis, it's so unpredictable that sometimes you don't know where you're going to get off, and is it going to be a long walking distance? I would make sure that I got my big bag, stylish big bag, and I would put my heels, I would put my umbrella, and I put my makeup in there, and I would make sure that I leave as early as possible so that I get there as early as possible. And then I would put on my shoes, I would have time to put on my makeup and not look like what I had been through. And when I got into that room, I did not have time for excuses or to expect people to feel sorry for me. And I would get there and I would push and I would give it my best and I would leave my heart on stage. But if I had not gone through preparations, chances are I would be stranded last minute. And also, it's important that we research and we also have people that we look up to and that we have role models that have, and we see what their winning formulas are. But it's important that when you have those people that you're striving to be where they are, that you don't compare your starting point to someone else's climax, because maybe the person that you're looking at has had some skin in the game and they've been doing this for a long time. So you can learn from them, but that should not discourage you or make you look down on where you currently are in your journey. And another thing as well that's also important is being confident in who you are despite what you have or you don't have, because life doesn't always deal us the ideal cards, but that doesn't mean that we should stop playing the game. So you might be in the same room as someone who's had a background that works and is an advantage for them. You might be in the same room as someone who has more education than you, someone more well-spoken than you are, someone more well-vested and has more experience. But when you know and you're confident in what you have, whether it's the one talent as opposed to somebody with the 5 talents, either way, your voice still needs to be heard. And you're going to use that one talent to the best of your abilities. And when you do that, you celebrate yourself. Because when you're starting out, you don't have a lot of cheerleaders, honey, because nobody knows the vision except you. So be your biggest cheerleader. Celebrate each and every milestone that you make. The fact that you woke up and you pushed, even if you come back and you don't get a yes or you don't get the type of response that you wanted. Celebrate the fact that you actually stepped out and you did it. Celebrate everything. Celebrate you, that you stuck to the journey despite the obstacles. Because when you continue doing that, in no time you will increase in skill, you will increase in knowledge, and you will increase and get the things that you've always wanted. And as for me, second time's a charm, baby. I'm taking my own advice and I'm learning and growing as I go. So here's to new beginnings. And speaking of beginnings, I would really love to know, are you doing something new, or are you revisiting something that you feel that you've once failed and you're giving it another shot? Let us know, because we as the Unlimited Soul Tribe would love to support and celebrate each other and pray for each other. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to join the Unlimited Soul Tribe, all you need to do is just hit the subscribe button below, and you can also like and share this video. And remember, you can also holler at your girl on Instagram and Twitter. Until next time, God bless.